Sup nerds, I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
And we're taking a look at the Press Your Luck party style game, Celestia.
By Quick, Simple, Fun Games. So like Tom said, Celestia is a press your luck kind of party style game that's quick, simple, and fun.
Well, it's like it's a sitcom and we cut to commercial and we're cutting back. I cannot believe that what just happened. Let me recap it for you guys real quick. So you've got this ship, which, can we take a second and talk about how awesome this ship is? You put it together.
Straight up ball.
And look at this. This thing spins. Can you see that? Okay, I'll put up a tiny little clip of us spinning it. And
then just knocking everything off.
Okay, but like, that's awesome. It's totally like, wasn't all that necessary. It could have just been a little disc that you're in. But they went the extra mile.
Or we could have just like moved our meeples along. Like we could have
like
you could play this game without this and just like, all right, we're all moving on. We're all moving on.
Because you're going from this, you're moving up this track, right? And however far you go, the further you go, whenever you get out, you get more points for being that far. You get 1 point down there, you get 2 points, 4 points, 6 points. But
almost 7 points.
I know. You have to trust that the other player, whoever's the captain, and the captain rotates, is able to get you to the next little island thing and not crash the whole thing where everybody dies and they just roll 2 dice, and if they have the cards that the dice symbolize, then they can pass. But there's also other wacky stuff too, where like I can force you to get out of the ship, or I can force you to re-roll. So there's a lot of stuff.
The biggest strategy point that like I had to learn the hard way in this game is that like the only information you have is what cards are in your hand and how many cards the other person has, which like could be helpful like with probability, but you don't really know. However, like so Aaron was going right before me, and I was like, oh, Aaron's definitely got this. I'm staying on the ship. So we succeeded. We moved on. Now I'm the captain, and I'm like, oh crap. I have an awful hand right now. So, and as a captain, you can't jump out of the ship. So, like, knowing I was going to fail, I should have jumped out on Aaron's turn, even though he was going to succeed. But knowing that I was going to fail, I should have still jumped out, because getting some points is better than getting no points. And that's kind of the limit of the strategy in this game, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's an awful lot of... The game would be really boring if you're playing with boring people.
Yeah.
Like, I had a lot of fun by doing, like, don't worry, bro, I got it. Stay on. You and me, you're staying on. Dude, trust me, I got it. Okay, you're on? All right, we crash. Like
that is knowing when it got to me, I'm like, oh, I'm going to fail. My job then is to get as many people to fail with me, because if I'm getting no points, I don't want them all getting a bunch of points.
So we are talking about base game Celestia a whole lot. I do think this game has an essential expansion, which is the A Little Help expansion. I will do another video where I show you exactly what comes in this, but I can obviously just tell you my thoughts right now that this is awesome. It's really essential. It basically gives you more cards that are like the action cards. Like, remember how I said, oh, well, there's like a jetpack where you can jump off even if it's crashing. You can force somebody else to jump off or force them to re-roll. This has more cards like that, which are the really fun, kind of the twist that gets thrown in the game. So I'm glad that they included more of that. But they also have these little help cards, which are cards that have a little hand on them that you can't play if you're the captain, but you can play to help the captain. So the captain will be like, we're crashing, and then somebody else will be like, no, I can help you. Boom, here's a red card. Without that, it's still fun, but I'd say when you buy this game and the expansion like at the same time.
Because if you're a gamer, there's no reason not to just start with the expansion.
Yeah, I have it mixed in these cards right now, and I'm never going to separate it.
But even with just the base game, it's surprisingly fun. Like, when Tom was explaining it to me, I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. I was like, no, dude, it's awesome. I'm like, yeah, sure, I know, it's great. And then playing it, like, again, I think we had a good group of people. We had 6 players, which is the maximum, which I think you need to play this game at. Like, you can play with 2. I
actually did play with 2. Do not play with 2. Don't even play with 3. Really, you can play with 5, but play with 6 as often as you can.
And It's not a traditional party game that like, oh, it's a drink. I guess you could definitely play this as a drinking game.
Any game can be a drinking game.
But it definitely is that like fun party feel to it, or like it's press your luck, so everyone's like laughing and making fun of people, and you're doing stupid things, and like you're oh no, I was dumb, whatever. Like I don't know. It was a game that honestly, at the end of it, I did not care how many points I had.
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Yeah, losing this game because it's so luck-based.
We're all winners in this game.
Yeah, and also the points do ramp up really fast. So with all the somebody just gets a couple really good die rolls, and you got out early, and you're kicking yourself for getting out early, but you're like, yeah, but based on what I knew at that time, I feel like I still made the right choice. So you don't really care when you lose. You're just having fun no matter what.
Except for Aaron. Aaron has to win.
Aaron is the most... well, with the exception of my other friend Will, Aaron is the most min-max person I've ever met. He will calculate everything. So don't play this with less than 6, and don't play this with Aaron. One other quick thing I do want to say about this game. We were talking about how awesome this little ship is. I do think the component quality is great. Like these dice, they're not going to rub off or anything. Everything looks really good. The cards are good quality. They're Euro cards, which bothers me. Just do standard American. Come on, people.
Ultra Pro does not make matte clears and Euro.
I know. What's going on? But one thing that they did include that I think is really cool is in the punch board, they gave you extra stock. So the parts, these little fins and this little things that hold them in place down here.
Back right here.
Mm-hmm. They gave you extra of those, so if they bust off, which they could, it's kind of flimsy down there, they gave you extra. Didn't really need to. This could have just been a blank part of the sheet, but they were like, hey, let's put something there for Tom. Tom will like that. And I do like it.
Which it's a good use of punch board. They had extra space in the punch board, and some companies just like white it out on paper ink. They're like, no, let's take the extra step. Let's seize the opportunity.
Some companies put a little proof of purchase thing there for some reason.
No, a proof of purchase punch out. I wish every game had this.
I don't even punch it out anymore. I just throw it out with the sheet.
No, I save all of them.
You're dumb.
One day it'll come in handy. So I definitely recommend that you guys check out Celestia. It's just a fun game. If you have a group that, again, you have to have at least 6 people to play with, but they don't have to be gamers. Like, this is definitely a game that, like, bridges the gap between people who, like, hang out in their game store and people who buy their games at Target. Like, it's a great game to bridge that gap. It can play in either group as long as you have enough people. It's just a fun game, though. If anything, if you just like Press Your Luck, you're almost definitely going to like this game.
So you did say how it would be good for, like, bridging the gap. So, like, for new intro gamers. The only caveat I do have to that is if you do have people who are new to gaming in general, they probably will spend a decent amount of time looking at the rulebook, looking at those, like, action cards. Like the jetpack and you get to reroll white dice, because that was a little bit of a finicky issue of, like, there's 2 reroll cards. One is, like, what the captain would play to reroll anything, because he probably can't, get past this. I don't have a red and a blue, so I'm going to reroll. I'm hoping I get something different. And then there's one where you reroll whites, which is only something that you would do if you, like, wanted the plane to crash.
Yeah.
And that's what people who aren't in it anymore are going to play. So, like, that, like, the motivations behind when the cards get played and why somebody would announce something before or after a card gets played would take a second for a brand new person to get. Outside of that little finicky area, I still think it's good for intro gamers. It's not strictly an intro game, but it could totally work, sure. But I agree with Wes that I love this game. It's tons of fun. Needs to be played with 6 people to be the most fun. Needs to have the little help expansion to be the most fun. But it is a really fun time. And it's a weird category, too. Because it's kind of a party game, but it's not a social deduction game. And it's kind of a gamer's game, but not really. There's not that much strategy, because it's just press your luck. Like, I think they kind of knocked this one right out of the park.
Anyway, you guys should definitely click on the purchase link in the description box. Buy yourself a copy of this game. You won't regret it as long as you meet those requirements that we listed. If you have, like, 2 people that are just super heavy Euro gamers, that's all you do, you'd probably be disappointed.
You probably already stopped watching by now. But hey, if you did scroll down there, you should also subscribe to our channel so you will never
be bored. Do you want to go into final thoughts?
Yeah,
Do you have more
totally.
things to say about it?
Great. Well, I've got this to say about it. Look at that.
That's props.